Imagine an ordinary Tuesday afternoon. Your smartphone rings. It's your younger sister. Her voice, her distinct accent, her exact conversational cadence. It's all there, perfectly rendered over a chaotic wash of blaring sirens. She's been in a catastrophic accident, her phone battery is dying, and she needs an immediate transfer of $4,000 to cover emergency medical admission. Your heart rate spikes. You execute the transfer in 60 seconds. Hours later, you discover your sister was safely at her desk the entire time. The voice on the phone was an algorithmic phantom, a real-time synthetic clone built from a 12-second audio snippet harvested from a public video she posted months prior. For nearly 2 centuries, human civilization has operated on a foundational, unwritten pact with reality. Seeing is believing, and hearing is truth. We treat photographic evidence, video recordings, and captured audio as absolute arbiters of fact in our courts, our politics, and our personal memories. That biological pact is permanently broken. Generative AI has moved the digital heist from the server room to the human brain, targeting the psychological architecture of human trust directly. The human brain is an organic prediction machine. To process the overwhelming volume of stimuli we encounter every millisecond, our cognitive architecture relies on evolutionary shortcuts known as heuristics. These shortcuts evolved over millennia to prioritize immediate survival and social bonding over slow, exhaustive analytical validation. This diagram illustrates a vulnerability known as the auditory homing instinct. When an individual hears the voice of a family member or trusted authority figure, the acoustic signal bypasses the slow, energy-intensive critical evaluation circuits of the prefrontal cortex entirely. Instead, the frequency is routed directly through the acoustic bonding pathway, establishing an instantaneous emotional connection. Modern generative audio models exploit this exact neurological glitch. Attackers never present a deepfake in a calm environment. The synthetic payload is wrapped in a manufactured, high-pressure crisis. By flooding the victim with realistic sensory inputs while introducing a ticking clock, the attacker triggers immediate sensory overload. Under this intense mental strain, the slower, rational verification mechanisms of the cerebral cortex freeze. The brain's working memory is overwhelmed, the user's skepticism drops to zero, and their behavioral compliance scales exponentially. This visual shows the efficiency of modern zero-shot speech models. Early voice cloning required hours of pristine studio recording. Today, a 3-second snippet of raw audio is sufficient to map a complete acoustic profile. The algorithm analyzes unique formant frequencies, rhythmic cadences, and even specific inhalation breaks to generate a clone that is indistinguishable from the biological original. Live video injection operates with the same brutal optimization. By leveraging low-latency latent diffusion models, attackers can execute real-time video transformations over platforms like Zoom or Microsoft Teams. The software maps the attacker's underlying facial muscle topology and updates the synthetic proxy's mouth movements and microexpressions with less than 10 milliseconds of computational overhead. Consider the documented attack on a prominent multinational manufacturing firm's East Asian logistics center. The operation initiated when a mid-level financial analyst received an urgent calendar link for a highly sensitive, out-of-band video call. The moment the analyst logged in, any professional skepticism vanished. On their monitor sat the company's actual chief financial officer, flanked by 2 recognized corporate directors. The video feed was pristine, high-resolution, and seamlessly responsive. The synthetic executive directly ordered the analyst to bypass standard compliance, resulting in a $25 million extraction to offshore accounts. Standard corporate security awareness training completely collapses in these environments.
The sensory reinforcement of interacting with a verified, high-fidelity authority figure obliterates the protective barriers of traditional procedure. Cloned voices also breach technical infrastructure. In 90 seconds, an attacker utilized a synthetic profile to compromise a global telecommunications provider's core identity network and execute unauthorized cellular SIM swapping operations. As the structural capability of synthetic media scales, it triggers a deeply insidious cognitive crisis, classified as the liar's dividend. When the collective population becomes hyper-aware that any video or audio file can be seamlessly simulated, the absolute value of objective evidence decays into systemic irrelevance. The mechanics of deception are entirely inverted. A corrupt political figure or a corporate executive caught in an illegal act no longer needs to actively disprove incriminating evidence. They simply exploit the public's ambient awareness of deepfake technology to claim the authentic recording is an AI-generated fabrication. Because the public knows the technology is flawless, the defense carries immediate plausibility. When a population concludes that anything can be faked, they simultaneously conclude that nothing can be trusted, leading to a total collapse of shared societal reality. We cannot deploy a software patch to eliminate human empathy, cognitive fatigue, or our evolutionary respect for authority. To insulate our networks, we must deliberately transition away from subjective sensory validation and implement strict systems of proactive cryptographic invariance. This diagram outlines the Coalition for Content Provenance and Authenticity, or C2PA, standard. Under this architecture, any device capable of capturing audio or video contains an isolated hardware security element. The moment a photon hits a camera sensor, the hardware instantly appends an immutable, digitally signed metadata manifest to the data packet, verifying its exact physical provenance. If that incoming data stream undergoes any downstream manipulation by a generative AI model, such as an auditory text-to-speech alteration, the cryptographic hash chain breaks. Enterprise communication platforms can be configured to automatically intercept and reject any media lacking this hardware-attested signature as an active threat. High-value financial extractions and administrative security modifications must be structurally divorced from the authority of any single human voice. Organizations must mandate decentralized, multi-party cryptographic verification workflows that physically require multiple independent hardware keys to execute an action. The most emotionally devastating deepfake presentation drops to zero operational value if the software architecture physically prohibits a single human being from executing a critical command alone. Within our personal lives, where families lack the enterprise infrastructure to deploy advanced cryptographic filtering, security must rely on unhackable analog invariants. Families must establish structured, offline shared secrets. A shared secret must be an obscure, nonsensical phrase completely detached from any public footprint. The moment any family member receives a frantic video message or emergency call demanding financial compliance, they must instantly demand this offline phrase. If the caller cannot provide it, the interaction is terminated, neutralizing the psychological attack vector. In the workplace, we must deliberately dismantle our bias toward immediate hierarchical compliance. We must retrain frontline workers and administrators to practice professional non-compliance against unverified directives, celebrating secure friction as a sign of elite operational performance. We protect our data centers with layers of physical armor and mathematical encryption, yet we leave the human gatekeepers of those systems entirely exposed to evolutionary manipulation. To survive the deepfake frontier, we must accept a stark truth. Our biological senses are obsolete arbiters of reality. The era of unverified sensory trust is permanently over.